So I ended up spending about a year and a half working on a 10-minute short film that I really shouldn't have spent that much time working on. It was a difficult experience, but one that I think I learned a lot from. So I figured I might as well share some of that learning with y'all here today. If you're new to the channel, welcome back, as I said in one of my previous videos, which I still find absolutely hilarious. On this channel, I like to talk about filmmaking and the techniques that you can use whilst making films just to make sure that there are more good films in the world. Because that's what I want. I just want more good films in the world. So today I wanted to talk about some lessons that I learned from What Are You Hiding?, which is the film that I, at time of recording, just yesterday, completely got 100% finished. After shooting it in July of 2021, so it has been a long time coming. The lessons that I learned from making this film, some of them were like creative lessons, some of them were very practical lessons, and some of them were, let's call them emotional lessons, things that I didn't realize I was doing that were bad for my mental health. So I'm just going to dive straight in with the more creative things that I did wrong. White walls. Fucking white walls. This is the oldest amateur mistake that you can make. I've seen it in countless like beginner filmmaking things. Don't shoot against white walls. Don't shoot in a location where everything's just white walls. And yet, bunch of this film shot in that very corridor there, nothing but, well, I guess they're kind of like cream off-white, but still, basically white walls. Now, this could have been fixed with production design, which you can see us kind of doing a little bit of with the Polaroid pictures that are stuck up, but you need like posters on the wall. You need something to give the whole space some more life so it doesn't feel so just so empty in some of the shots, you know? Anyways, that's ultimately a fairly minor thing. The biggest learning point for me is about doing long takes. If you've seen the film, you might notice a distinct absence of long takes. Well, the opening of the film was originally I think 4-minute oneer that went all the way around the flat, and was ultimately broken up into a bunch of little cuts that totaled about a minute. This is mostly just a pacing thing. The bulk of the film happens after that long take, and it was just taking too long to get there. Not only that, like the performances varied from take to take, and some bits were better in one take than another, and sometimes the camera moves were better in one take than another, and I wanted to be able to mix the takes, but obviously you can't if it's just one long take. So I just had to break up the long take and do it in a bunch of little fragmented bits, which worked so much better. If I ever do any long take stuff in the future, this will have been a great experience on how to pace one, how to like orchestrate it, but ultimately it just didn't work, and I had to kill that darling of mine and make it a sort of non-linear fragmented opening, which in hindsight, so much better, so much better, so much better. Those are the two biggest like creative learning points from the film, but I also think that there's some like practical ones that kind of overlap with the creative stuff. The big one being the importance of rehearsal time. This long take would have been so much easier to execute in a way that was more fluid, that felt better, and I would have had a better sense of the pacing of it and that the pacing didn't quite work if I'd had a chance to have rehearsals with all of the actors and the director of photography. That just didn't happen. I was kind of slightly trying to make it happen, but schedules didn't line up. Now I know just how important it is to get rehearsals with actors, with the camera operator for something like this, rather than just trying to do it on the day and do the rehearsals on the day, because that just ain't gonna cut it for something this complicated. Just ain't gonna cut it. I think this dovetails quite nicely with the other big thing that I learned, which is just the importance of scheduling and setting deadlines. Things need to happen for the film to get made, and if it's ever going to get finished, things need to happen in a certain amount of time. So deadlines are so important, particularly setting deadlines for myself. I feel like I didn't set deadlines for myself, which meant that I could spend as long as I wanted working on the edit. And, you know, I can't remember what the law is that people talk about, but work expands to fill the time available. I could have got this film to a decent state within a month or two of like coming back and poking at it and then leaving it for a bit and coming back and poking at it. It's valuable to have some time away, but when there wasn't an end in sight, that meant that the film could just expand to take up like as much time and space as it wanted to, which ultimately was not good for the film, and it wasn't good for my brain. So that brings me on to the more emotional lessons that I learnt from this project. Don't let one project consume your entire life. It's bad for you. Don't do it. This film was meant to be a like big step up for me. This was the longest thing that I had made. It was going to have this cool like 4-minute one take in it. It was working with some actors that I really, really loved. I was finally getting to work with this director of photography who's great. And like I wanted to work with him for ages. This film was meant to be big old step up. And, you know, within a week or two of having shot the film, looking at the footage, I knew that I had some really good stuff in there, but I knew that it wasn't the big step up that I wanted it to be. And I think just putting that expectation on it was really, really bad for my brain, for my mental health, and for the quality of the film. Like, when you put that much pressure on a single project, of course you're gonna fail. Like, because it's impossible to succeed. I made a bunch of mistakes on this film. There was a bit of gear that we wanted to get that would have helped get smoother camera moves on the long take, and I just didn't make that happen. I also didn't put as much time into thinking about production design as I could have done. The production design stuff would have helped with the white walls. Getting that bit of gear would have helped with the long take. And the reason why I didn't do that stuff still kind of eludes me to this day. But I can tell that it was just because I was putting so much pressure on this project to be what I wanted it to be. I think it's some weird, like, self-sabotaging, this project has to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, then it's going to be terrible for me, and so therefore I'm going to make it bad so that I can be like, well, if I'd really put the effort in, or some kind of weird bullshit like that. And I don't know exactly how that happened in my brain, but it was definitely happening because I put the pressure on this project. I recently shot the first proper film that I've shot since What Are You Hiding? And I just took the pressure off with this one. Like, have a bit of a breather. Things don't need to be perfect. And I feel like this film is going to end up so much better as a result of it. And it's going to get turned around so much faster as a result as well. I'm taking some of that learning about scheduling and deadlines and putting some of those in. Hopefully I will be able to adhere to those deadlines. Probably not quite as strictly as I would like, but I'm already feeling that the stuff that I got wrong in my mind about What Are You Hiding, I'm getting right on future projects, which, you know, I think is very, very valuable to me. I know this video has basically just been talking about the negatives of this short film, but I'm really, really proud of it. It's got some great work from all the people who worked on it. It doesn't quite hang together in the way that I wanted, and it doesn't quite achieve the vision that I had for it, but I still love this film. So if you want to go see it, I will leave a link to a playlist of my short films on screen now. I also have a playlist of me talking about the films that I've made in the past, which you can go have a look at. If you're enjoying this kind of video, I know I've been making a few of these now, feel free to subscribe. I will make more when I can. I'm terrible at saying goodbyes, so instead I will just slap the camera and run away.